Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Philadelphia Eagles stay undefeated, 6-0. They beat the Dallas Cowboys 26-17. Dallas drops to the best feeling 4-2 they have surely ever had in their Texas history. This Sunday night game looked like it was going to be a blowout, with the Eagles celebrating, the city of Philadelphia just feeling good after the Phillies won the NLDS over the Braves. You know, I've been watching that all weekend. Game 3, Game 4. You know, honestly, Philadelphia fans, they got so loud while the Atlanta Braves pitchers were pitching. I truly think they rattled those pitchers and helped win that game. Impressive. I've been giving a lot of shout outs to different fan bases. Kansas City last week for their relentless booing of the Chris Jones roughing the passer penalty. Broncos fans for their sarcastic countdown of their own play clock. Phillies fans, Eagles fans for your intimidation factor. But, you know, like many games this year, the Eagles scored their points early and then hung on. You know, they did a good job. They handled the game. You know, they've got this new goal line, or not goal line, short yardage package, this rugby scrum, which I feel like is going to catch fire through the league, where they don't even pretend anymore to have the running back or the receiver going in motion to help push the quarterback through on the QB sneak. They're just literally lined up there to help shove this quarterback through. You know, Dallas did some interesting countermeasures there. Van Der Esch leaping over. But, you know, I thought the Eagles were going to run away with this. I think we all did. I thought Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, who it's like every once in a while you're like, oh yeah, A.J. Brown is on the Eagles. Holy crap. God damn, that was a good trade because he's so good and made such great plays. But I thought the Eagles were going to humble this Dallas defense, but the Dallas defense really locked down, especially after the Eagles lost their right tackle, Lane Johnson, because there was a lot of hype coming in. I mean, NBC is running mashups with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Trayvon Diggs with Bob Lilly, Harvey Martin, Randy White, you know, Herb Adderley. But first of all, the Doomsday defense, the Dallas Doomsday defense, is like a great defense for like 2 decades. I mean, it was really 2 different defenses, the Lilly and the Randy White era. It's like 20 years of great defense. So yes, they're good, but let's dial it back a little bit here. Like the Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence stuff, we haven't even gotten to 20 games, much less 20 years of elite play. Well, I mean, Eagles have their own legendary defense. The Gang Green, Reggie White, Eric Allen, Andre Waters. Silver lining to this game, though, is that the Cowboys showed heart, that this wasn't a blowout. In the second half, they came in, 2 good drives. Zeke Elliott scores that touchdown. They get another stop. They drive again, like basically the whole length of the field. Cooper Rush gets it's a little out route to Hendershot, whoever that is, who jukes him and gets in the end zone. There was a game in the fourth quarter here, and then the Eagles answered, and then the Cowboys actually had a chance to answer that answer in the fourth quarter. CeeDee Lamb beat his man, but Cooper Rush could not hit him because he got hit and just couldn't get the ball out there deep enough. It was going to be a long touchdown. Instead, it was his 3rd interception. So Cowboys finally fall. The Cooper Rush undefeated streak can finally end. I gave him my Frodo Award 1 week ago for man getting too much credit for his contribution to the wins. Now we can let it go, right? Dak Prescott, when he's back, is the starter. I was amazed how many reputable people, how many people I thought were smart, said that the Cowboys should consider rolling with Cooper Rush. Now, I told you my conspiracy theory on that already, which is that when you talk about Cowboys quarterback controversy, you get those ratings, you get those clicks, because there are a lot of Cowboys fans, and it's something interesting. So when you have that opportunity, you take it. I get it. It's not fun to just say, duh, Dak's a starter. But now, those without imagination, who could not possibly imagine how Cooper Rush could ever lose, are now able to visualize it on their own televisions. Here's how the Cowboys could lose with no upside at quarterback with Cooper Rush in there. So I'm glad for Dallas, another silver lining that happened. These two teams play again Christmas Eve, by the way, week 16. That could be a big one. That could be a big one, unless the Eagles just keep winning, I guess. They're 6-0 now. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a shaky 6-0. To be honest, like they should have lost last week to Arizona. They keep not scoring in the second half. And remember, like the Cardinals, speaking of Arizona, they were 7-0 last year. And by January, they weren't a threat to do anything at all. So, it happens. All right. Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. Show us football everything. NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter or YouTube. Subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We have shows Sunday after Sunday Night Football, Monday after Monday Night Football, and Thursday after Thursday Night Football. And the Sunday show is always some Sunday Best Awards. Some awards I just make up that are fun. We'll have a more detailed Week 6 review episode tomorrow, the winners and losers. But this one is always just fun. But I do want to touch on the Bills-Chiefs here. It wasn't Sunday Night Football for some reason, but it was probably the game of the year in terms of hype. And it was a great game anyway. Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes. After that epic divisional game. I mean, this Week 6 matchup shared a lot of what made that great. Not the historic ending, but a lot of the great play, a lot of the strategy that is changed when two quarterbacks are just the best in the world. And I think responsibly we can call this the two best teams in the NFL. I get it, the Eagles are 6-0. Okay. The everything continues forever crowd moves over to that. But it's really fun to see this Mahomes Allen turn into the next Peyton Brady, in the sense that the winner of their presumably yearly matchups, if they keep winning their division, has the inside track on the number one seed for the AFC. So first quarter was 0-0. People kind of freaking out. I was worried about just the way the game was advertised as like this super high scoring thing, and everybody's expecting 4 touchdowns every 2 minutes. Because that happened at the end of the AFC divisional game. So we need, 4 touchdowns. So 2 touchdowns a minute. So we're expecting 120 touchdowns, basically. But, the game in the 2021 playoffs, as well as this game, there is good defenders on the field. And they played well. They just got exhausted in the divisional game. And this game, 0-0 first quarter, had a great end of a half. I mean, fantastic. Josh Allen had a 1-minute drive, 98-yard drive for a touchdown to the Chief Killer Gabriel Davis. And then Mahomes has 12 seconds, not 13 seconds, to get a field goal. He does. More credit to Harrison Butker on that one. It was a 62-yarder instead of a 49. Third quarter, they both trade touchdowns. I think it's 2017 in the fourth quarter. And defense still comes through. I thought the Chiefs and Bills defenses both played well. Maybe it's because it's earlier in the year, but Matt Milano, Von Miller for Buffalo, Nick Bolton, Chris Jones for Kansas City. Jones and Miller traded huge third down, late fourth quarter sacks, both of which you thought swung the game. Jones sacked Allen. They have to punt. It's like, oh my gosh, they're going to lose. And then Von Miller sacks Mahomes and they have to punt, give the ball back to Allen. And you're like, oh, they're going to lose. Really a lot of fun. And the Bills get the big drive, the hurdle part 2. Josh Allen, just a madman with an absolute dart to Dawson Knox and a touchdown with 1 minute left to go. Now, the reason I bring that up is because it was the saddest and most under-celebrated touchdowns with 1 minute left to go. Go-ahead touchdowns with 1 minute left to go in history. Nobody in Buffalo was like, yay, we're going to win now. Nobody on the Bills sideline was like that. They're giving the ball back to Mahomes with 1 minute to go. And then, of course, the interception. Brought on by the Von Miller rush. Matt Milano's in his face. And Taron Johnson with the pick. And Josh Allen wins. The Bills win. A well-deserved celebration on the sideline. Mahomes getting criticized for that interception. I mean, he tried to make too much happen. Von Miller tweeted a picture mood with a big picture of Big 78. Buffalo Hall of Famer, defensive end Bruce Smith. I love that. It was a very good game. I guess my point of describing it to you was that it lived up to the hype. Okay, let's get to the Sunday Best Awards. Reminder, we'll be back tomorrow to talk winners, losers for Week 6. We're figuring to heavily talk about Jets and Giants in the winners section, and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in the losers section. So looking forward to that tomorrow after Monday Night Football. So 5 awards. Sticking with Buffalo, Kansas City, I want to award Buffalo the Manage Your Karma Award. Because Bills, you're winning too many regular season matchups. You don't need this. You already did this. You came into Arrowhead last year. You beat Mahomes. You beat the Chiefs in October so that you lose to them in January. Now, for those of you who cannot tell, I am joking. But just Bills, try losing the regular season matchup so you'll win the January one. This is Karma 101. Now, the Bills already made this mistake historically, and that's why I bring it up. It's something I talk about a lot. Because the Bills, while they were 0-4 in the 90s Super Bowls, lost to the Giants, Washington, Cowboys, and Cowboys. 4 Super Bowls in a row they lost. And it's remembered as them being dominated by the NFC. Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, they're great when they're in the AFC, but they were dominated once they reached their, superior NFC foes. Yet, during that time, the Bills were 13-2 in the regular season against the NFC. And both their losses were like Week 17 rest games. So really, they were like undefeated against the NFC. They beat the Cowboys in between their Super Bowl losses. In between Super Bowl in 28 and 29, the Bills beat the Cowboys in 93. They beat the Steve Young 49ers. They beat the Joe Gibbs Washington team. They beat the Gang Green Randall Cunningham Eagles. They beat the Lawrence Taylor Bill Parcells Giants like 7 weeks before losing to them in the Super Bowl. And for what? No one remembers that. No one remembers the Bills winning any of those games. They used up their karma in the regular season. Don't do it. The conclusion is clear. In a high visibility history situation, lose the regular season game. Buffalo, manage your karma. All right. Next award, the Identity of the Opposition Award, which I will give to Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals. Who dey beats who dat? Who are they? Say the Bengals. Who is that? Say the Saints. But you don't do the grammatical version. Who dey, who dat? I don't know where they come from. But the point is, Bengals, Joe Burrow, they go into the shotgun. They save their season, honestly, because the offense was just so dragging. Zach Taylor is such an idiot. Well, maybe not, because he made this adjustment. They go into shotgun. They start throwing the ball. Memories of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in Louisiana. Of course, that specifically is the stadium where Burrow and Chase, combined for Chase had 220 yards and 2 touchdowns over Clemson in the 2019 national championship game. And that was just part of the crazy stats that they put together up at LSU there in Louisiana. And that stadium specifically had the crown jewel. And Andy Dalton loses his chance for revenge. Though I don't know, does he really need revenge? The Bengals gave him a lot of seasons as the starter. All right, next award. The USSR Air Force Award goes to the red-helmeted Atlanta Falcons. The Red Falcons. I guess that's something that you called the Soviet era, the communist red armies. They had an air force and they called it the Air Falcons. I don't know, I guess. But the real reason for this award is because, like the USSR back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they prefer a ground war. They prefer a ground war, a land war. Mariota did have 129 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Falcons okay, I'm all over the place here. The Falcons defeated the 49ers. That's the first thing to say. Okay, Mariota had 129 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the Falcons did it also with 168 rushing touchdowns. And the other big fact, I just really like the helmets. I really like the red helmets for the Falcons. I'm loving this trend where we're getting these alternate helmets. I was not alive for when the Falcons regularly had red helmets, so I didn't have any visions of Dave Bartkowski or Gerald Riggs out there, as some older Atlanta Falcon fans may have. And the 49ers just got beat down. I mean, that really wasn't their defense. No Nick Bosa, no Eric Armstead, no Javon Kinlaw. The core structure, what is elite on the 49ers team is the defensive ends, or the defensive line as a whole. They weren't out there. And therefore you're relying on Jimmy Garoppolo, who's throwing turnovers all over the place. And, sure, he's getting his yards after catch stuff here, but when you have to rely on Jimmy G, you're going nowhere. So the 49ers take on the bombs of the Red Falcons of the USSR. I don't really know where I'm going with that one. All right, next award. The Hot Stuff Coming Through Award goes to Bailey Zappi, the quarterback for the New England Patriots. I'm referring to a fantastic Simpsons episode, season 8. It's called Homer's Phobia, when he befriends a nostalgia store owner named John, who he later finds out to be gay, and goes through a reckoning on that front. They visit a steel mill, hot stuff coming through. But more importantly, and more relevant to this, is that John, the nostalgia store owner, has a ray gun or a zapper gun that he goes zap, zap. It's one of the big parts of that episode as Bart starts doing it. And Zappy Fever is here. The Patriots are back. I mean, I don't know. They're 3-3. They're dominating teams. I mean, they just crushed the Lions last week. Now they crushed the Browns. Sure. Teams that are not great in the pecking order historically, but they're better than they're supposed to be. The Patriots definitely weren't supposed to blow them out. And the Patriots media and fan base, they've been spoiled. They've had 20 years of dynasty. And they're tired after 1 year of making excuses for a rookie quarterback, Mac Jones. So they're turning on Mac and they're going for Bailey Zappi. But I don't know. First of all, I think Mac Jones is way more hurt than they let on. Watch the injury, people. Watch it. But Bailey Zappi, maybe he's got something. I argue that Mac Jones kind of oversaw the start of this turnaround anyway, presumably Matt Patricia being phased out as Bill Belichick starts to run an offense, but Zappi has not torpedoed it in weeks 5 and 6. So, Bailey Zappi, zap, going well. All right, last award. The Sad History Award. I don't know, just nothing reflects the passing boom more than Matt Ryan passing Dan Marino in all-time career passing yards. I mean, it just seems so obvious to me, but will it be forgotten over time? Matt Ryan was not better than Dan Marino. He is not better than Dan Marino. It's just, something, the stats are just inflated now, and that's okay. I enjoy watching the game, but I just want it to be remembered that Dan Marino was unequivocally better than Matt Ryan. I mean, Marino was a space alien, a shock to the television airwaves. Imagine somebody today started throwing 70 touchdowns and 6,000 yards in multiple seasons, because that is the mathematical equivalent to what Marino did in 84, 86, 88 when equivalent to the passing numbers of those days. Now it's lost in context, but Dan Marino was something else that Matt Ryan, Roethlisberger, Rivers, they're just not. So, Sad History Award, I'm out.